think this person be able to do these things or work on these things? That's your perspective on importance, because that's important for the person, right? What are the barriers to that person being successful at doing those things? Or what are the barriers that are preventing us from being able to do this stuff? What, you understand? So your perspective on the barriers and their perspective on the barriers, this is, as a person, it's a very selfish perspective. It's what I want for me. And over here, it's what we want to do for you. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So it involves paying attention very carefully, because if you don't listen well, then you will not know what the real issue is. So we've got to listen to, especially here's one of the experiences I've got in general, is that women tend to minimize barriers and maximize importance. Men tend to minimize importance and maximize barriers. Okay? Because men are fighting against the barriers, but they don't want anybody to know how much they really want something. Women will look at it and be very honest about how much they want it. But they'll go, well, I could probably get it if I tried. Do you understand? That's a very global statement. And obviously, both things are going to be true for the other gender as well. So, I mean, but that's just kind of an awareness thing as much as anything. Okay? So, here's what I want you to do. I want to do a short practice with the assessment that you have in front of you. You have the blank assessment. Okay? You know yourselves better than anybody else does. So, now, you are going to do the important to you, both in terms of the importance scale and the barriers that you have, that you perceive in your life to obtaining those things the way you want. How you define those words in practice, okay, is entirely personal and up to you at this point. And you are not required to share it with anybody. I'm not going to ask anybody to share it unless you want to. But what I want you to do is to do that part first. Score it, both the importance and the barriers. We have more blanks, so you can go ahead and write on these, because we'll give you more blanks to use later. So go ahead and score this, both the importance and the barriers, and then come up with and only use whole numbers. Don't use the 6.5. Just messes you up. And come up with the motivation, tension, and resistance factor for yourself. All right. Question first. Anybody surprised by what you saw or experienced as you were doing the scoring? Did it feel pretty much like you when you were doing it? Did anybody have anything that they struggled with, that they felt like, geez, I don't know how this fits me or doesn't fit me? No? Okay. Well, that's the experience that most people have. Is that most people say, oh, now I get it. You know, and this is, so once you do it for yourself, you can hear how the questions sound. So that's what I encourage people to do, is to go through this process of asking yourself these questions, okay? Because it makes you think about how you will ask the questions to other people, all right? Now, we're not going to do this part of it now, but I want, just as a suggestion to you, to complete the assessment, pick somebody in your life who is a valued other, okay? Somebody you care about and that cares about you, and answers the same questions under the system of support as if they were answering, okay, about you. Because then what you can do is find out where it is you think the two of you might have some conflicts or some issues, whatever. But no, what it does is it changes the voice in your head. Does that make sense? It changes the voice that you're asking with. So, and because they would care about what is important for you as well as what's important to you. So just use their voice as the way to score it. And then you can finish up the scoring on the assessment, because the rest of it's just math. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, so there's no questions, no comments. Everybody felt okay doing it. No confusion? Okay, great. Then what we are going to do is we're going to shift over here, and I'm going to make up somebody. We're just going to call him H, over ratio, because I like the obvious. Okay, so what I want you to do is to pick somebody in your head. It doesn't. We're not going to have all the same person, so just pick somebody in your head, and it doesn't matter who they are, that it's different. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down here. I'm going to show you what you do is you do this assessment on that person individually. Okay. So we'll pretend that we've just done that. And then what we do is we aggregate the numbers. Do you remember when we did that as a group? Okay, so everybody did it individually, and then we said, let's do them together. All right? And the goal, the reason you do them individually and then you pull them together is because you don't want to have this person start skewing that number, start skewing your number, start skewing your number. So I ask you to give me the real number that you really wrote down. And if there's a big difference, then we'll talk about it. Okay? If I hear something dramatically different, okay? So you think of the person in your head, and it's okay that they're all different people, because we're all going to see the same person differently anyway. Does that make sense? All right? So I want you to tell me how important it is in you. I'm just going to go down this road. How important is it for the person that you're thinking about to help others? 7. 8. 6. 10. Okay, 7, 10, so we've got about an 8. Do you understand what I did? Mm-hmm. I just added them together and divided. So we've got about an 8 in their importance to help others. What are the barriers? Probably 3. 2. 3. Okay, so we're at a 3. So we have a 24. Does that make sense? Okay. So now what we're going to do, same person, system of supports. How important is it for them to be able to help others? How important is it for this person that you're thinking of to be able to help others? 6. 7. 8. 8. So we're at a 7. Okay. Now, how many barriers do you perceive, or how strong are the barriers to this person being able to help others? 3. 5. 4. That makes that 3. 4. Okay, that makes that about 4. Okay, so now we've got a 28. So I'm just going to show you, I would divide, see, remember? Divide the person's score by the system score. So that would be 24 divided by 28, which is pretty close to 1. So we're going to say 0.9 just for argument's sake. That's how that works. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions, comments, or concerns? Everybody's got it? Let's do one more quick round. This time, what I want you to do is we're going to pick independence and self-determination, same person, as you're answering now as if you are that person. Okay? How important is independence and self-determination to you? 9. 8. 9. 10. That's a 9. Okay. How many barriers, or how strong are the barriers that you perceive to having independence and self-determination? 10. 9. 2. Okay, wait a minute. Okay?
9.
That's an 8. Okay. So, 9 times 8 is a 72. Okay? You got that? Now, I'm going to do something real quickly, because there's some stuff that is going to come up here. That's a big number. That's a real big number, okay? So we'll start with that. This is a big number. So anytime you score an 8, a 9, or a 10, you're paying attention to it, okay? So here I've got a 9 and an 8 together. Here's an 8. But the 8 is sitting pretty much by itself. Probably not going to be a big deal. But that's telling you it's a big deal. Does that make sense? This is going to come in when we're starting to count data points later on. Okay? So, now, you guys are going to do Same person that you had before in your head, but how important is it for them to be able to have independence / self-determination, working on that kind of thing. So how important is it for them to work on independence and self-determination? 7? 6? 7? Okay, we're at a 7. Okay. And how many barriers do you perceive for this person to being successful at independence and self-determination?
5, 6.
3.
Okay. That's okay. Go ahead.
8.
Okay. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Yeah.
4.
Okay. Okay. Good. We're at 4. Okay. Now, what I want you to notice in this process now is that we're going to have a very interesting number, aren't we? We've got 28 or 72 divided by 28. That's going to be 2 plus 2.4 or something like that. And I'm just guesstimating. So I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be a big deal number when it comes time for us to do the assessment evaluations later on. But you guys get the process now of how this works. So in a team scenario, we're trying to get the system of supports. But the other thing you can do is that if we have a person who doesn't have language, can't answer, won't understand the questions, doesn't do that stuff, you get the people who care about that person most. Okay? Even to the point maybe that they've gotten in trouble for caring too much, or they've skirted the rules a little bit too much. Those are the real advocates. Those are the real, emotional investment folks. And you have them do the assessment as if they were that person. Okay? Now, question. Does mom, you got a 28-year-old woman living in a group home, okay? Is mom part of the circle of support under as the person, or would she fall under the system of supports? Would she be somebody helping to answer as the person, or would she be somebody, this 28-year-old woman doesn't have active language, verbal language, not going to understand the questions. Mom's in the room, she wants to be a part of this.
I'd say she's the 4. She's protecting her.
She'd be a 4 person, so she'd be on the system of supports side. Okay? What do you think?
Well, it depends on the situation. I mean, if they've been in a group home their whole life, maybe not know the person very well.
Good condition. Okay, so the issue is, how well does mom actually know her daughter?
Right, then you have to question, does the mom have an agenda?
Does the mom have an agenda? Does mom have a thing that's about controlling her daughter and making sure that her daughter never leaves her because you never ask wants to have to deal with her again? Okay? Or she likes stirring her daughter up and causing trouble at the group home, or whatever, okay?
Or it could be just about all health and safety and nothing else.
Could be all about health and safety and nothing else. Absolutely, excellent point. Which is not uncommon, a scenario, okay? Here's the answer to the question. What Kai said. It always depends on the circumstances. If the daughter and the mom are clearly affectionate, get along, they like each other, they want to spend time with each other, they value each other, then the answer is that mom's okay to answer 4. If you have any of those other scenarios going on, if it's about control, if it's about domination, it's about my will, it's about what I want, it's about don't ever let her out, it's about, she's not able to make those kinds of decisions, then she's part of the system of supports. Now, again, remember, you may officially allow her to participate, but that doesn't mean you necessarily always include her data. Okay? Just as you might with a colleague who's got a very, it's clear they've got an agenda kind of thing going on here. Because the minute it's not about the person, that makes it about them. And that's not what this assessment is about. This assessment is